and welcome to Investment Trends. Now, apart from just promoting investments, trade and enterprise development, the ZDA also conducts research related to trade and investment, industrial development and business environment in order to contribute to formulation of policy aimed at improving Zambia's attractiveness and competitiveness. So in this vein, today's discussion is on the strategic focus of the ZDA in meeting the dynamic economic demands. And in that regard, my guest on the program today is Dr. Shadrack Saili, who's the Acting Director, Policy and Planning at the Zambia Development Agency. Hello and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you on the show.
I'm pleased to be here.
Right. First things first, Doctor. I know that after extensive research and analysis, you spearheaded the crafting of the ZDA strategic plan in order to make it more responsive to the current economic dynamics. Just what is the strategic focus of the ZDA in the next few years, if I may, just add that as something that will start us on the program today?
Yeah, you are right. Yes, we started a new strategic plan formulation sometime in 2015. This was after an assessment which we did, which incorporated looking at a number of documentation, such as the government policies, the previous strategic plan, which was between 2013 and 2015. And after that extensive consultation with our stakeholders, we came up with a focus to deal with, to be enshrined in the new strategic plan. And the focus really in this one is that we have to transform business for the benefit of the Zambians. So the focus is centered around two main dimensions. Okay. There's a market focus, and as well as there's a sector focus. In the market focus, we are looking at areas where we're able to tap investment, and also we are looking at areas where we're going to increase our export markets. And then in the sector areas, we're looking at areas areas where investors can be able to invest, such as, is it in the energy sector, is it in the agriculture sector, and all these are aligned to the objectives of the nation. Okay. So basically, that is how the focus is. So we have, having that in mind, then we have aligned all our strategies, which are 13 of them, directing towards those two main areas. And out of it all, then we'll be talking of creating wealth and jobs. All right.
So can you also discuss the vision and the goal of ZDA over the strategic plan period?
Yes, basically the vision is in line with the wealth creation and job creation. So the way strategic plans are made, they are aligned with the national goals. For instance, we have the 2030 goal, vision for Zambia. And then we also have these 5-year planning cycles for the country. So every strategic plan, for as long as we're a government institution, you have to align towards that, because you are all contributors to the major
to the national picture.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So in our case, for instance, we have our vision is to contribute to the 1 million jobs that has been enshrined in the 2013 vision of the nation.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What are some of these strategies that you came up with in the current ZDA strategic plan?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we came up with 12 strategic areas. Out of these, three of them are the main objectives. Okay. In other words, why we exist as ZDA. And then the other one are more of the support, so that we can be able to achieve the three. Now the three are export development. We have a strategy to deal with the investment promotion. We have a strategy to deal with enterprise development. For these three strategies, the idea is to increase our share in any of the of the focal areas. For instance, we want to improve the share in the market of exports. We want to improve the share of where to tap investment, FDI, for instance. We have also to increase the number of participation of Zambians, and that's the enterprise development. Just to give you an example, for instance, last year we managed to support about 3,500 entrepreneurs. So when we're dealing with the enterprise development, we are talking of trying to increase that number, because the idea is that we want to create rich people in Zambia. You know, the middle income group, which is in Zambia, is more characterized with people that are going for work. When we hear this is the middle income class. But in our focus, we want to enlarge the middle income group that is working for themselves.
Right.
And that's why that enterprise development is a key issue in our strategies. And the other ones are obviously the support I was talking about, for instance, resource mobilization, training our staff, and having good systems to operate and good governance.
Okay, so the strategic plan was launched in 2016. Yeah. How has the progress been in terms of implementing it in 2017? How does it look like?
Well, in terms of implementation, what we've done in the strategic plan, we have also created what we call performance indicators.
Okay.
So we have 49 performance indicators, which are linked to those strategic plans, and then each of those are being undertaken by different units or divisions. And then each year, when we do an annual work plan, because an annual work plan comes from the strategic plan, we put targets for each of those indicators. And then at the end of the year, or even mid of the year, we evaluate to see how we are faring. So for now, yes, we did score some successes, because this is a continuous process. For instance, in the year we managed to register 345 projects with a value of about 3.3 billion. And then in the same year is when we supported 3,500 entrepreneurs. Again, in the same year, we did a significant contribution to realizing 1.8 billion NTEs, that's non-traditional exports. Yes.
All right. So I understand you also monitor and just sort of follow up on projects that are registered with the Zambia Development Agency.
Yeah.
Why is this activity so important? What is the main purpose of it?
Well, the purpose of that activity is to confirm what we have registered at the beginning. Because you see, every investor will give us a projection, and then therefore their projection normally come in 3-year cycle. So each year we have to go and confirm whether that projection which was given for a particular period or cycle has been realized.
So
that's why
whether they're sticking to the plan.
Yes, essentially that is. So I mean, it's a process that in fact happens in every business cycle. Whether even in an accounting cycle, if you have done a budget, you really have to follow up through to see whether you're following that budget or not. And it's a similar concept. So in our case, for instance, last year we monitored. We visited 113 companies to just verify and see whether they had invested what they said they would invest. And from that exercise, we came to find out that they had fulfilled their promise at 75%.
Or the 100 plus?
The
or
ones,
the majority?
Because that's just a portion of the whole total, because as I said, the cycle is in 3 years. So last year we just went for those that had indicated that they will invest in that particular year, and there were 113 of them. I need to add on that, because As part of the strategic plan, we also enshrined the methods of doing new monitoring.
Okay.
For instance, in the strategic plan now, we are creating targets for each year as to what we have to monitor for the particular year. For instance, this year, we have targeted to visit 700 companies. And those 700 companies, from our records, it shows that they're supposed to invest 3.8 billion this year. So the monitoring exercise which you are alluding to, like for this year, will be verifying that 3.8 billion.
Okay.
At the end of the year, in December, when I come back on this program, I'll tell you how much will have been realized out of that 3.8.
All right, that would be fantastic. How does ZDA fare in terms of value of investments registered vis-a-vis actual investments made over the years?
Yeah, as I earlier alluded to, the ratio of investment, what has been is normally at 75%, okay. Average 70-75%. So we normally register about 400 companies in a year. And normally the values are in a range of 3 to 4 billion.
Okay.
Yes. And then it also follows that with the 75%, then also the investment would go in the ranges of up to 2 billion every year. That's like the other year when we did with a survey with the Bank of Zambia and CSO, we came to learn that there was an injection of 1.7 billion in the year of 2015.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right, this is Investment Trends. If you're just joining us, welcome to the program. I'm talking to Dr. Shadrack Saili, who is the Acting Director, Policy and Planning at the Zambia Development Agency. And today our focus of discussion is ZDA's role in promoting business. All right, so we take a quick look at some of reactions from the Zambians on whether they find it easy to do business in this country in terms of them wanting to invest. Is it easy to register a company? Is it easy to get information out there? Let's take a listen to this and we'll be right back.
Yes, they promote investment. They provide a conducive environment for an investor in terms of concessions, in terms of tax, various development zones, etc.
Zambia Development Agency. The little I know about it is that it's an agency that looks into matters pertaining to development of the country, especially when it comes to coordinating the issues pertaining to investors that are coming in, areas of their interests, and such necessary guidance. Before then, I think we had scenarios of foreigners being defrauded because they didn't know where to go to. They didn't have a central database where they could get the information they needed about possible areas of investment.
Zambia Development Agency is it's a good company, and it's set for like registered companies, and it puts them in the right direction. So it helps them in many ways. So I think it's a positive organization.
It's a unit of the government that helps to promote investment, both investors from outside the country and local. And then there are certain incentives that they give. But unfortunately, those who have ideas, like take an example like climate change. There's a lot of cutting trees in Zambia if you go alongside the rail. There are no banks around here that are able to give up the startups. There's nobody who's willing to give up money for them to start up that. So ZDA should actually maybe come up with a program that can compel even the banks actually to do that. Because if you borrow from the other side, the interest rate is very high.
Right. Welcome back. This is Investment Trends, and that was just some quick reactions from Zambians on, the whole business of investing in the country. Very interesting views out there, Dr. Saili.
Yes, very interesting views, but you can see also that those views probably are not really speaking to what is real on the what is real on the ground. We focus on every investor, whether it's local or foreign.
Okay.
We treat them the same way, and that's why if you remember when I mentioned about the three major pillars of our strategy, one of them is entirely about local investors. So we could have one or two operational challenges, but the operational challenges will not take away the fact that we really focus on both local and foreign investors.
All right. As ZDA, how often do you make submissions to the government in investment and trade-related issues? And does the government, sort of respond and give feedback on the submissions that you make?
Like any other government agency, we are created under an act of parliament. There's a requirement that you really report back to the institution that formed you. And that being the case, we're not an exception. So we regularly report back to government on whatever areas that achievements and even challenges that we're facing. We have quarterly reports which we report to our Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. We also report on the semi-annual. We report on an annual basis. We also have certain special reports that come as and when they are required, either by cabinet or even maybe parliamentary queries. And all those is giving them feedback. Just to add, and we are so happy that the President of Zambia has introduced the quarterly reporting by ministers. That in itself, and most of the information that you see there, comes from particular agencies that are under such ministries. And certainly ourselves, we contribute a lot to the report that our minister submits to the President on a quarterly basis.
Okay, wonderful. So you coordinate the ZDA Private Sector Liaison Forum. What are some of the issues that come out, and how have you been able to tackle some of these issues from this particular forum?
Well, in our strategy, we realize that for us to perform well and even check our performance, we needed to be speaking to the private sector quite often. And that is the reason why that forum was created. Now, that forum brings out certain salient issues that are pertaining in the economy. We have in the past, for instance, discussed issues to do with energy, issues to do with trade between certain nations, where maybe we have had challenges in the barriers to trade on a bilateral basis. Probably whether it's in Congo. So we bring in those fora bring in certain suggestions as to which direction can government take. And through ourselves, we take that position and take it to our parent ministry so that it can either become a policy issue and then shape the direction of the nation in that particular area.
All right. How do you work with partners such as the Bank of Zambia and the Central Statistics Office in terms of monitoring investments, investment projects in the country?
Yes. As an agency, we cannot deal with wealth creation alone, because we're just a piece to a number of institutions that are involved into this. I call it a game. The Bank of Zambia and this Central Statistical Office are a key to ensuring that all the pieces of wealth creation are well nurtured. For instance, the CSO, they are people that collect information from the ground, and when the information comes, it gives us a good perspective as to how we can strategize and improve our investment or either export promotion events. Suffice to say that there are particular areas where we closely collaborate with them. For instance, with the Bank of Zambia, ZDA sits on the balance of payment committee, so we do some contribution in that area. Again, there's a research that we normally do with Bank of Zambia CSO on an annual basis to just find out the FDIs that are coming through, to also get the perceptions of investors in a particular year. And we do that, we collaborate that with those two institutions. So our collaboration really is very outstanding with those institutions and many other institutions which probably have not even mentioned on this.
Right. Well, in moving forward and as we come to the end of the program, Dr. Saili, how would you describe the Zambian business landscape compared to other countries in the sub-region?
I would just describe it in one word. It's good. It's good. And I would say it's good. We talk about sub-region here. You know, there are parameters that tell you why it's good. One of the parameters that is normally used is cost of doing business. And this survey normally is done by World Bank. And for the past 3 years, 2014, 2016, and 2017, I was just looking at a report for 2017. Zambia is among the best 5 in the sub-Saharan region. So it tells you that in terms of cost of doing business, it tells you that investors are still attractive to this country. Yeah.
Okay, that's great to hear. Very encouraging for any domestic investor who wants to get started. Well, Dr. Saili, thank you very much for coming through to the program today.
Thank you very much. And this is the
strategic plan
that has all these
2016 to 2020.
Yes,
right.
You can get it on our website, and as well as anyone can walk to our offices to get a hard copy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for bringing one to ZNBC.
Thank you.
Well, this is where we end the program. I was talking to the Acting Director, Policy and Planning at the Zambia Development Agency on the strategic focus of the ZDA and the agency's role in conducting research related to trade and investment, industrial development and business environment in order to contribute to the formulation of policy aimed at improving Zambia's attractiveness and competitiveness. Join us next time for another interesting episode of Investment Trends. Bye-bye.